Hello, friends from Five Reasons. Welcome back to our Marlins report. Today, in a historic day for the Marlins, for the baseball, for the United States sports, for everything here related to Kim NG, who became today the first woman to be named as the GM of an important sport here in the United States. And today, we actually had the opportunity to listen to what she had to say about all her journey. And to talk about that, we're going to be joined today with David Fernandez and Christian Chase to go over the details of her story and what she talked about today at Marlins Park. How are you guys? Welcome back. David, Christian, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, great, man. Things get more and more exciting here, seemingly by the day for South Florida sports fans. Right? We had a fun Dolphins win yesterday. Kim Ang coming to the Marlins over the weekend, and then finally talking to the media. It's a good time. It's a good time for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great time to be a fan of Miami sports, right? I mean, Dolphins five in a row, Miami Heat making the finals, and the Marlins signing the first female GM in the history of sports, which, I mean, it's just groundbreaking to see. And it's really awesome to see our team be the one to take that initial step, especially with her resume. I don't even think it's just a breakthrough when it comes to women in sports. I think this signing is going to be extremely impactful for our team to compete in the upcoming years. So, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, and talking about impact, there were a lot of questions about that story, right? How she became the first one, or what does it mean for teams, for baseball, for women in different aspects of life and all that going on. So let's go ahead and go over those details. What did she say about her story? How did she become the first GM and all that story behind it and the different interviews that she had to go through and all the moments and all that she had to live in order to get to this point with the Marlins.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you look at it, she has this extensive resume, 30 years working in MLB, 21 of those 30 years working specifically in front offices. I mean, she has experience as an assistant general manager with both the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. But to get to that point, I mean, she was speaking today, and I mean, she blew me away today. She was so eloquent. She was, calm, intelligent, but also very passionate, not only about the game of baseball, but also about what, her ascending to this position means for baseball itself, for women in sports, for all of it, right? And we had over 100 people, 100 media members on that Zoom call today. People from all over covering what would have probably only been a relatively local story had the Marlins
Yeah,
gone with a more traditional,
with
name
Mike Hill
for
again.
general manager. Right. If it would have been somebody like Mike Hill or Jim Hendry or one of those
Yeah,
other guys, I mean, she was talking about how she played stickball in the street in Queens as a kid, using cars as a first base and the manhole cover as second base, and as somebody who, grew up in a neighborhood with a bunch of kids down here, we didn't really have a baseball diamond near us. We would play in the street just like that, and so to hear her say that, it was incredible, and she's talking about how she never played in an organized league until she was 12 years old. But from there, she made it all the way to, getting a scholarship to play softball at the college level, at the collegiate level. I mean, you think about that now, if somebody doesn't start playing an organized sport until they're 12, and then by the time that they're 17 years old, 5 years later, they're earning a college scholarship to play in that sport, that person is, you know, destined to become a pro, most people would think, right? So just to hear her speak and to hear her passion and to hear her eloquence and, just to hear her story more in depth was, I mean, well, for me, it was an honor just to be part of it, to be part of the discussion. And I was floored by her today. She was great.
yeah. She talked about hope, inspiration, and when she was reminded of those years with the Yankees, she talked about fearlessness, right? And she talked about Derek Jeter and how she looks at it or add him as the example of fearlessness. And there weren't a lot of questions about what the plan is going to be with the Marlins or the approach going into the off season and the free agency and all the trades season that might come up. But what do you guys think? Listening to her talking, what do you think is going to be the approach for the Marlins coming out now, Christian?
So obviously during the interview, there were no real answers as to where she will take the team when it comes to the analytical side of things, or what players she's looking to get. But what I did find very interesting listening to her speak, obviously she's a phenomenal speaker, just really seems well suited for the job. But beyond that, there were probably like 5 to 10 questions throughout the entire interview asking her what it was like to go through the process of interviewing year after year after year, and failing to achieve what she has now. And her answer every time was very telling of the way she's going to approach this job. And she said, and I quote, I think, that when it was she doesn't want, she like looks back at what she did and she doesn't necessarily see failure. She sees the opportunity to grow and learn. And every interview, she applied that same method, and now she's here. And she's going to have her hands full with this Marlins team. We made the playoffs last year, but we're definitely not out of any, we're not by any stretch of the means a top 5, top 10 team in the league right now. And there's going to be a lot of failure, a lot of growth. And if she applies that same mentality, we could be seeing a championship level team here in Miami come 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, she talked about her relationship with Don Mattingly in Los Angeles because they work together there with the Dodgers. She talked also about her experience with the White Sox and, of course, her experience with the Yankees. About analytics or the new wave, she talked about wanting to have information, but also keeping it in perspective. So it gives you a little bit of how they're going to handle things. And because a couple of years ago, you remember the Marlins were so aggressive with the shifts and all that, and it didn't quite work as well as they thought. And we saw the adjustment right for this season. They did a lot of shifts anyway, but it was more or less aggressive. They weren't top 10 in shifts throughout the year, so it might give you an idea of how the organization is thinking as a whole about the whole analytic thing, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that kind of stood out listening to her today. And again, as Christian mentioned, she didn't really get into the specifics about, what she's going to do with this team specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously what's going to unfold over the next, few days and weeks with free agency, we're going to learn a lot about her approach there. But as you mentioned, Alejandro, she talked about using different perspectives, right? And she also has an established relationship with both Don Mattingly and Derek Jeter. I don't think that we can discount that. The fact that she says, and I quote, that it's going to be a seamless transition and I can't wait to get working. I mean, that has to be exciting for Marlins fans because she's going to be able to hit the ground running. She worked with Don Mattingly in LA. She was there in the front office when Derek Jeter ascended with the Yankees. And one of the things that she mentioned was how, she was really grateful that, she broke into the front office really with the Yankees. I know that she had interned with the White Sox prior, but, becoming an assistant general manager with the Yankees in 1998 and then staying there for the next 4 years while they're going on, one of their historic runs, right? She understood the value of culture. She understood the value of consistency. She learned what it took to build not just a winning team, but a consistent winning franchise, right? And one of the things that she mentioned during the interview was that she really wants to bring together not only the baseball side of things, but the business side of things as well. And she wants the Marlins to be a pillar of the community down here in South Florida. And everything that she said today, it's music to the ears of Marlins fans because for so long there was a distrust with the front office, and there was, obviously prior to the Loria front office, when you look at what Wayne Huizenga did, with the fire sale after the 1997 World Series. I mean, there are Marlins fans out there who, are still struggling to, come to terms with that fandom, right? And not wanting to buy in or trust. I think her hiring signals clearly that the South Florida community can buy in on this club again, because they are building a winner, and they're building it in a number of different ways. And she's going to draw on, as she mentioned, the different perspectives. I loved when she said, when she was talking about, her life growing up and learning the game of baseball and being in high school and things like that. One of the quotes that she said was, I was never the kid who was going to follow the group, and when you kind of think about what that might mean for her from a general manager's perspective, maybe she starts to buck some of the trends that we've seen in baseball, or, she has a unique perspective. So she's thinking outside of the box, and she's going to listen to the other voices that are in there. It's not going to be, the one person making the decisions. I mean, she has a good relationship with Jeter. She has a good relationship with Mattingly. She has extensive ties throughout Major League Baseball, and she's going to lean on all that stuff to improve this ball club. And again, I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it. This is really, really exciting.
Yes, and we haven't heard about the plan, and we probably will not until they make their first moves, right? They're not going to be giving away their strategy anyway. But Christian, in a general sense, because I know we're going to do a special episode going through every position and what the Marlins can do, but in a general sense, what do you think, listening to her now and the way she speaks about it and how she goes about things, what do you think is going to be the first step, or who you guys think the first guy the Marlins will be looking into will be? Just as a general sense. Of course, we don't know, and we'll go over the business side of things, but just from a feelings perspective.
Yeah, so I think the kind of vibe I got off of her today was that she's really not afraid to take risks. And I think in the free agency market, and especially with trades, we're going to see her being willing to take those risks to get either a big name player or a player or a set of players that are going to better our team. She has a great farm system at her disposal, and she can probably utilize that to get top-notch players now, or she can take the route of letting them build up and getting them ready and preparing. I really think her first move will be after she makes the decision as to whether she sees the farm system currently being a team viable to compete for a title within the next 5 years, or if she does not believe that, based off what she's being told, based off her conversations with Derek Jeter and Don Mattingly, then we could see Kim go out and trade for a big name. It may not be this offseason, but a big guy that I'm sure I've seen a lot of articles and a lot of stuff on is Francisco Lindor. We're not certain that we're going to get him, but he would be an amazing addition. And I think going a route like that would mean that she doesn't have full trust in the farm system, and whenever that first real decision is made, something tangible that we can kind of analyze, we'll be able to see which route they go.
David, she talked about her experience with the Dodgers and how she had to be careful, or well, not her, but like the entire team, careful with the guys that they had in the farm system, because I don't know, the Russell Martins, the what was the other guy, Matt Kemp. She talked about these two cases. They had to be careful not to give them away because they were the future of the franchise. Do you think we're going to keep that approach, knowing that, of course, the Marlins do not have the same farm system as the Dodgers, so they have to be a little bit more aggressive in that regard?
Well, listen, she again, obviously we have no idea, right? But the way that she was talking there about protecting some of those high-end prospects, it makes you feel pretty good, right? Because the Marlins do have some pretty interesting young names in the pipeline, right? When you think about Edward Cabrera, the pitcher. Obviously Jazz Chisholm played with the club this year, but he might start in AAA. Obviously they drafted Max Meyer this year. And then when you go a little bit further down the prospect list and you look at somebody like Jose Devers, there's some interesting names that the Marlins have at their disposal and that Kim Ng has to kind of deal with moving forward? Does she elect to, to extend the rebuild and let these guys, get their experience and develop at the AAA level and then later at the MLB level? Or does she see this as an opportunity to flip, as Christian mentioned, flip some of those guys for somebody like Francisco Lindor? Because it's always a crapshoot with prospects, right? I mean, you've got so many in the top 100, right? But how many of those really become difference makers? I mean, we saw some good innings this year from Sixto Sanchez, and you hope that he builds on that. But I mean, think about all of the other young players that we saw this year, the prospects that didn't really look like they were ready to produce at the major league level. So, the big question will be, does she want to win next year, or does she want to win, a year or two from now? Did what happened in 2020 accelerate the timeline for the club? Or, was it just a nice story and they're going to just continue to build at the rate that they were going? I mean, we'll probably learn relatively quickly based on what free agent moves that they make and if they get in on a deal like for somebody like Lindor. But there are some prospects, with Cabrera specifically, with, again, Max Meyer, JJ Bleday, Jose Devers. There are some interesting prospects that, you want to see the Marlins hang on to and develop. But on the flip side too, can you take somebody like Devers and Neidert and, one of the other pictures, maybe Braxton Garrett? Can you package those guys together to land somebody like Lindor, who is a star at the major league level? I mean, that's kind of the calculus, right? You're kind of betting on, what versus what you think. So, it'll be interesting to see what route she decides to take. And again, it should be relatively obvious, soon, because I mean, free agency is open and people can start signing. I mean, I know the winter meetings don't really happen until the first week of December, and that's when really a lot of things start happening. But we should start to see some stuff relatively quickly, and she's got some decisions to make. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure. So later this week, we're going to prepare, like we've been promising since last Friday, we're going to prepare a whole list of players. We're going to go position by position and looking at the Marlins options and what would make sense for this team now, what would make more sense maybe in 5 years. And all those options we're going to be going over. I think on Wednesday might be the best day for us to do so. So thank you guys for joining me today. This was a historic day for sports in general, not just for Marlins, not just for baseball, not even just for MLB. It was just a historic day for sports in general, and hopefully we get more of those with the Marlins, right? So
yeah, we've picked up some new Marlins fans these days.
Yeah.
So many people are saying. I mean, she mentioned in her thing that over 500 people told her that they're going to be new Marlins fans next year, including former First Lady Michelle Obama. I mean, people like that were reaching out to Kim Ang to congratulate her, which is crazy. I mean, good for her.
They're definitely
She deserves it.
Yeah, they're finding the way, not just with this, with different things that they're doing. They're finding a way to have the Marlins in the national picture, right? Which didn't happen very often. I think since, I don't know, Giancarlo Stanton maybe, when he hit so many homers. So good job on that side too. Marketing's always good, that, and baseball needs a lot of that in these times because they're struggling to keep the fans in front of the TV. So, but we'll talk about it in our next Marlins report. We're gonna go over all these players and have fun with that, since we're gonna be general managers for a year. So be ready for that here in the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. See you guys. Bye bye.